historically, ARC's postulated that autonomous taxi platform could take roughly 60% of gross revenue at commercialization. And that, to give context, is roughly double Uber and Lyft's 20 to 30% there.
In this video, which is almost a part 2 to yesterday's video where we saw an incredible update on Tesla's autopilot progress, check it out if you haven't already watched that, we hear from ARK Invest discussing Tesla, robotaxis, and the utterly ridiculous, absurd amounts of money Tesla is likely to be printing when the robotaxis awaken. Dear numbered nerds, we are going deep. There'll be some spreadsheets, so make sure you got something to clean up. So while most on Wall Street are maniacally focused on Tesla's near-term gross automotive margins, we're going to zoom out just a little bit and try to look at the forest rather than the trees. And just a heads up to my Patreon supporters, posted another exclusive video today. I can't believe this is happening in mid-2023, but one of Tesla's largest so-called competitors doubling down on their plans to go bankrupt. In fact, I think they've now announced they plan to accelerate their inevitable bankruptcy. You really can't make this stuff up. Check out that video if you want a bit of a laugh. And I'm going to be posting a bunch of other exclusive content in the coming days to both Patreon and over on my Twitter subscription. So check the links in the pinned comment if you like more content. Oh, and just a friendly reminder, once again, that Tesla is just a car company. So if you hear anything in this video that seems to contradict that statement, you can safely ignore it.
We're talking about Tesla, ride-hailing, autonomous, and take rates. And so, I say take rate, but that just means the cut of gross revenue that they could take for an autonomous service. And so historically, ARC's postulated that autonomous taxi platform could take roughly 60% of gross revenue at commercialization. And that, to give context, is roughly double Uber and Lyft's 20 to 30% there.
For some more context, in my valuation model, again available on Patreon to supporters at the investor level and above, in my base case, I have a platform fee of 24% going to Tesla, and in the bull case, 30%. About half where ARC at least were, which was 60%. And you better fucking believe this makes a monumental difference to Tesla profits. For anyone lost in the weeds here, the platform fee is what cut Tesla will take of all fares that happen in a Tesla robotaxi. E.g., if you're paying $2 per mile, what percent of that does Tesla take versus whoever owns the Tesla vehicle? And in fairness, I am probably being quite bearish in my own estimates, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
But the reason we're talking about this is there is a piece out here. I believe his name's David let me see his actual name, Hockenmeyer. And he released a piece on framing of take rates and marketplaces and what you can charge. And so I'm pulling up a chart here and I'll just talk through it. And essentially the very high level message here is the more you do, the higher the take rate you can. So if you're just doing lead gen for a marketplace, and he throws Zillow into this, maybe it's a 5% take rate. For the next level up, which is checkout marketplaces, where you're handling bargaining costs, right? You're agreeing on a price and handling search. You get eBay and Etsy in that. That's roughly 15%. If you then go to managed marketplaces, this is like Airbnb, where you're not just doing pricing and search, but also enforcement costs. So if something goes wrong, you're taking care of it, like Airbnb, that's up to 25%. And then the highest level that he has framed here is these heavily managed marketplaces. And so this is DoorDash and Amazon as the examples. And so you're not only handling enforcement costs if something goes wrong, is damaged, bargaining costs, the price, search costs, finding the stuff, but you're actually handling distribution as well. And that gets you this take rate up to 35%. And then here, this chart was made by our director of research, Brett Winton. He throws in Tesla as this final autonomous marketplace. And he throws the next added feature here as execution costs. So actually delivering the service itself. And he claims that this could be up to 90% of the market. And to frame this, I'll actually pull up another chart because I think this is a key piece to understanding. And this is from Tasha Keeney. And I think this chart is pretty profound. And it's the addressable market at each price point for travel. So it's the price per mile on the y-axis and the addressable miles at each price point on the x-axis. And you can see there's a huge price elasticity of demand as prices come down. But even at the $1 price point, you cover 1 trillion miles of demand. And so that encompasses all of the existing ride hailing, and that's the addressable ridership in Western markets, supplanting commuting miles. And so that's roughly $1 trillion market. And so if you take the work that Tasha's done, suggesting that, it would just cost 20 to 30 cents per mile at scale to operate these autonomous vehicles, that gets you to that super high take rate and what you would have to charge to get people to start putting their vehicles onto the network.
Lots to discuss here. First of all, ARC's research around the total demand for autonomous miles based on price point makes a lot of sense. The more economical it is, the larger the opportunity. The more people who can afford transport as a service, the more people who will use transport as a service, and the more people who will choose to use transport as a service and drive somewhere autonomously where they previously wouldn't have. Many people will be like, should I really go to the airport, spend an hour and a half or 2 hours waiting, going through security, my flight being delayed, boarding the plane, flying, landing, sitting on the tarmac, waiting to disembark, going back through security, getting out of the airport, getting a taxi, getting to my destination? Or alternatively, could I just get a Robotaxi, have it come to my house, get in the Robotaxi, and spend the next few hours getting there in about the same amount of time would have taken me to get to the airport, not have to fuck around with boarding, having somebody groping me in security, plus have the privacy of the entire vehicle to myself. I think a lot of people are massively underappreciating how many miles will be driven autonomously once Robotaxis are ubiquitous. Back to the earlier point about the platform fees, depending on, I guess, how much value is being added. We saw examples there from Zillow at around 5%, Airbnb, much higher platform fees because they're doing a lot more, and the projection that Tesla could take up to 90%. Now, I think this is a bit of a stretch, but you never know. But let's just do the math on this, just fun little hypothetical exercise. So I just whipped this up based on ARK Invest per mile cost versus total miles for transport as a service, and then I've just added a platform fee, e.g. they were referring up to 90%, I'm going to use 30% conservatively. Pretty simply, total miles times dollar per mile times 30%. That's how many fees for platform fees are up for grabs. What is Tesla's share of that opportunity? Let's say they take 1/4 of the global robotaxi market. That means Tesla's bringing in at 30% on $1.10 per mile, $82.5 billion in robotaxi fees. Pure profit, essentially. If you put a 40 times multiple on that, it's about a $3.3 trillion market cap. Of course, as cost per mile goes down, total miles actually increases quite substantially. So even though we go from $1.10 per mile to 60 cents per mile in this scenario, we have almost a quintupling in the number of miles driven, meaning nearly a tripling in the total platform fees up for grabs. In the 60 cents per mile scenario, if Tesla takes 25% of that with a 30% platform fee, that's $211 billion in almost pure profit. Again, you put a 40 times multiple on that. We're looking at $8.5 trillion in market cap. But wait, there's more. You kind of see, right? It's on screen. 50 cents per mile, 9 trillion miles up for grabs, 30% platform fee, Tesla share, 25% of the market. It's about $1/3 trillion in profits. 40 times the multiple, $13.5 trillion market cap. And the big one, at 25 cents per mile, 30 trillion miles, $2.25 trillion in platform fees, a quarter of that going to Tesla, over $500 billion in platform fees. Pure profit straight to Tesla's bottom line. Put a 40 times the multiple on that, we're looking at a mere $22.5 trillion market cap. Now, I know a few folks are wondering what happens if I change this to 90%. I mean, just triple everything, but let's pretend that it's not that easy. 90%. Yeah, not even going to say it out loud. The point here, don't sleep on robotaxis. Now, you don't have to take ARK's assumptions wholesale. I mean, I have my own assumptions. Surprisingly, they're not that far off ARK's. I've done my own independent thinking about this, but it's a little bit of art and a little bit of science, so we never know. The point isn't to just assume, okay, well, these numbers will be exactly correct. The point is, do this exercise yourselves and think about the implications. Even in a very conservative scenario, where Tesla's taking a 30% platform fee, the robotaxis are $1.10 per mile, give or take about half the price of a typical Uber or Lyft today in some areas. Keeping in mind, you don't have to pay a driver, so it's realistic they'll be less per mile than a human-driven vehicle. And if Tesla takes just 1/4 of the global market in terms of the robotaxi opportunity, we're still looking at trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars of additional market cap just from the robotaxi fees. This doesn't include autonomy. This doesn't include the FSD subscription. This doesn't include vehicles, energy, nothing else other than actual robotaxi fares. What is Tesla's cut of the robotaxi fares? As you can see, Tesla is just a car company, so you can completely ignore this because it's not like it moves the needle at all. Wait, what was Tesla's current market cap again today? Could somebody remind me? Moving on.
Okay.
Nick, so I just ran through a lot there.
That's a lot. So when I hear this and I see the graphic posted on the marketplace opportunity, I feel like it's a very elaborate and detailed way of saying the more value you provide to your customer, the higher, you can charge, or the higher your take rate can be. And then I start to wonder, or the question is, once you get past a certain take rate, when does the opportunity become more attractive to just in-house and offer a direct service, vertically integrated service, versus running a marketplace and allowing for third party? And also what I think is interesting in kind of the Amazon example, just having looked into the e-commerce space a bit, that one is more choose your own adventure, right? And it has a little asterisk up to 35% because you don't have to have fulfillment by Amazon. They just charge extra. They take a higher percentage of kind of the revenue. And so I think that is also kind of interesting to think about in these examples. But I guess my question to you is, like, when do you, or like if you're Tesla, when do you say, okay, if we can get 90%, right? That's what Brett is suggesting in his graphic. Why wouldn't we just, go after the other 10% and just run this as a vertically integrated, ride hailing app?
Now, this is a very important question with profound implications, and one I've thought about and modeled out myself in explicit detail. It seems inevitable to me at some point Tesla will operate their own fleet of robotaxis. The question is, how many and when? This isn't to suggest that Tesla won't allow customers who own a Tesla vehicle to add those to a robotaxi network. However, Tesla is going to be printing so much money, it's absurd. They're not going to know what to do with it. If Tesla manufactures vehicles themselves, their cost to manufacture these vehicles is not equivalent to the cost they sell them to consumers for. They don't need a profit margin if they're producing the hardware for themselves. And the payback period on these things is basically a year flat, maybe 2 in the worst case. So it does seem likely at some point Tesla will begin manufacturing at least some vehicles to operate exclusively as robotaxis, and maybe in the future, distant future, maybe they won't sell vehicles at all to consumers, period. They will just produce vehicles, put them out into the world to operate as robotaxis. After all, this is absolutely in line with their mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. A robotaxi will do many more miles per year than a conventional internal combustion engine vehicle. They have a bigger impact. I'm not going to run you guys and go through my own models for everything here. If you want to see my Tesla valuation model, have a look at that. But more importantly, the exercise that you need to consider is, how much could Tesla produce a compelling robotaxi for? Spoiler alert, they just unveiled a half-price manufacturing system, so do the math on that. Half the price of a Model Y, not purchase price, but manufacturing cost. That's about where they'd be at for the next-gen vehicle. Spoiler alert, it's well under $20,000. Then think to yourself, okay, how many miles could a single robotaxi do in a year? How many of these robotaxis could Tesla produce in a single year? And what would the cost, the capital outlay be for Tesla if they're, let's say, manufacturing these things for $18,000 a pop, hypothetically speaking? Remember, today Tesla, give or take, putting about $3 billion in the bank every quarter. It's more than $12 billion a year, assuming they weren't scaling up. They are, so it's going to be even more. You can make quite a few of these robotaxis with just the annual profits derived from Tesla production today. This is something to consider. And by something to consider, I mean it's extremely fucking important. Can you think of another company on Earth who can produce an asset that in a single year will pay for its entire cost, and in the following year will bring in more than 100% of its cost to produce? In other words, getting a 100% or more ROI year after year after year ad infinitum. This is kind of absurd. I highly encourage you to take the time, use a calculator, or better yet, a spreadsheet, and try and figure out the potential implications.
And I think this gets into the rollout strategy for Tesla, which is still up for debate. Obviously, they haven't done it yet. And so, they've said they want to continue to sell vehicles, in which case you need to offer some incentive for people to lease out their vehicle as opposed to just drive it personally. I think that changes, right? There could be a point in time where Tesla just says, nope, we're no longer selling vehicles to individuals. It's more valuable for us to just produce them and put them right onto our network.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I probably should watch these videos before I react to them, but then I wouldn't be reacting to them, would I? Anyway, we agree. Might happen in the future. Could happen. Probably inevitable, at least to some degree. Whether or not Tesla eventually says, no vehicles sold to consumers ever again, period. Or just says, we're going to make a lot for ourselves, and yeah, you can buy some if you want as well, but they're probably going to be pretty expensive. Only time will tell. But remember, if you're ever curious, what might Tesla do? Please refer to their mission statement. That will usually answer all of your questions.
We're not at that point, but that's kind of that distinction that you're talking about. And that's also one of the caveats here, right? 90% is incredibly high. And so, that's right. That's very aggressive. So, right, maybe you actually need to offer people more money to join the network and lease their vehicles out. Because it's cost per mile, which is based on vehicle utilization, it's probably lower in the early stages of autonomous. And so take rates could be lower. And then there's also this other element, if there are other competitors in the market, take rates probably scale down as time goes on and more people enter this market, or if you keep lowering costs to address that larger opportunity beyond the $1 price point.
Right.
And then, a last one, I think in New York, they're talking about this now, is congestion taxes. And so if, municipalities start charging congestion taxes.
You got it.
Thanks.
You got it.
Then that could also change the structure there.
Yeah, I would think, when you talk about rollout strategy for what Tesla may do, they have to reach density in certain markets. So, having enough ride-hailing cars to be able to service the demand. And so I think an interesting strategy may be you forego some of that take rate. Like, let's say they can get up to 90% over time. Maybe you forego that to seed the market so that, people with Teslas are willing to put their cars on the road for this service, but then you slowly build up your own vertically integrated or owned and operated, network of Teslas. And then that's kind of how you slowly seed the market and steal it kind of from yourself, or you steal it from the marketplace.
I won't be surprised if this is how things play out. Tesla's got more than 4 million vehicles on roads today. In the future, BAM, software update, they can all operate as robotaxis. Not all of them will. Many consumers won't opt in, but some will. By the way, you might be wondering, how many Ubers actually are out there globally or in the United States? Because this is an important question to ask yourself. Tesla already has a global fleet of over 4 million vehicles. Let's find out. So according to the once useful search engine that's now nothing more than a propaganda and suppression machine, there's approximately 1 million Uber drivers in the United States and just under 4 million globally. 4 million globally. Hang on. Didn't I just say Tesla's global fleet's in excess of 4 million already? Oh, isn't that interesting? And in terms of the global taxi fleet, best I could find was less than 20 million taxis on the planet. Obviously, some regions are much more heavily populated with Tesla vehicles than others, especially in the United States. So, there's already enough Tesla vehicles on roads right now to utterly disrupt Uber, Lyft, the taxi industry completely already. But once again, remember, robotaxis don't move the needle as the spreadsheet showed before. I mean, trillions of dollars of market cap doesn't really, it's not like those numbers were even more than the largest companies on earth today, and that was just the robotaxi valuation, right? So we can ignore that safely. So what did we learn today? Well, obviously, Tesla's just a car company. Autonomy doesn't move the needle. If Tesla's operating robotaxis globally, this won't massively increase the valuation of the company, nor the insane amounts of money they print. Tesla hasn't already seeded the planet with enough vehicles to potentially immediately begin operating robotaxis and disrupting the likes of Uber, Lyft, and the entire taxi industry already. Oh, and also, they're definitely not on the cusp of solving autonomy, so why are we even talking about this stuff? Plus, ARK Invest are deluded morons who don't know anything about anything, so you should also ignore them. I think the final key takeaway here is people who drive an Uber or a taxi for a living are going to be fine. The companies themselves, Uber and Lyft, and those who own and operate taxis are also going to be fine. Transport as a service won't be a colossal disruption, the likes of which we have not seen before. Plus, why would you even want to use a robotaxi when instead you can take public transport or sit around in an airport for hours? Yeah, I think I can sum this one up in 6 words. Nothing to see here. Move along. There is, however, something, in fact, a lot of things to see over on Patreon and also for my Twitter subscribers. Plenty of exclusive content just dropped and loads more in the pipeline dropping soon. Tesla's so-called competition dropping like flies. Bunch of companies having their Kodak and Blockbuster moments and don't even realize it, and plenty more. So, if you want more content, check the links in the pinned comment to subscribe over on Twitter and join Patreon. Or don't. Doesn't bother me. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.